champion of the world, Tyson Fury, sits down to talk to me. What's the latest on the showdown with Anthony Joshua for the undisputed throne? UFC heavyweight champ Francis Ngannou wants to fight. Does Tyson? And is there unfinished business with old rival Deontay Wilder? This is Max on Boxing.
The 6'9" showman is the man who beat the man who beat the man, going back to the original 1800s heavyweight champ.
Yeah, I got that recipe. Chef and I'm cooking, who's second me? Yeah, can't get ahead of me. Coming at you with a head of steam. Do not need a photo finish. You about to witness greatness, cause I get it. Serving you like tennis, open like a dentist. No, I wasn't finished. I'm about my business. Caution, I'm a menace. Sentence to my pedigree. Living legend is my legacy.
Fans of all kinds of all sports, welcome back to Max on Boxing. I'm Max Kellerman, and that is the heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury. Champ, thanks for joining me. It's been a minute. Champ, what is the latest? It's been a while. It's good to talk to you. Good to see you. What is the latest with you and Anthony Joshua?
I think you know as much as me, if not more. I know nothing. I'm just a dumb fighter, boxer who's training 24 hours a day, waiting for the phone call so I can go and kick some ass.
Do you think, I consider you the heavyweight champion of the world. You're the lineal titleist and also the best heavyweight in the world, in my opinion, by a pretty good measure. And yet there are people I've talked to in boxing who I respect. Cliff Rold comes to mind, who say, look, when Joe Louis retired, Ezzard Charles became champ. Joe Louis had to fight Ezzard Charles. Charles beat him, but he had to fight him to get back his title, not defend it. What about the fact that in Tyson Fury's absence, Anthony Joshua won the kind of consensus heavyweight championship, and even though he lost to Ruiz, beat Ruiz in a rematch, so that to unify the titles, to really have one undisputed champ, you need to fight AJ. Is that true, or do you see it differently?
It doesn't really matter to me. They're all boxers. They're all heavyweight champions. There's about 60 of them out there at the moment. Who really knows even the names? Because I don't. The one thing I know is I'm the lineal heavyweight champion, also WBC heavyweight champion, also Ring Magazine champion 3 times. So 2 times, sorry. Almost getting ahead of myself there. The only undefeated world heavyweight champion left. Still reigning, still the king, and still up for the challenges. If it's going to be Joshua next, then let's do it. Take that bodybuilder out in a few rounds. And then who knows? Maybe he wants a rematch. Maybe I knock him out again. And then we're going to go to Francis Ngannou. I hear he's been talking a bit of shit about me. He can have some too. That's another easy fight for him. All easy money. Easy money for the Gypsy King.
Tyson, you are 6'9", 260 pounds. And normally, the heavyweight champ is not really included in pound-for-pound discussions, right? You're also the biggest champion by far. You tower over Joshua, who's a huge guy. And yet when I think about your career, who you've beaten and how you've beaten them, and if you dominate Anthony Joshua, I think your name will come up as one of the pound-for-pound champs as well. Is pound-for-pound interesting to you at all? Is that something you aspire or have even thought about?
Nah, pound for pound to me is just some idiot's opinion on if everybody was the same size as each other.
Right.
We have weight classes for a reason, and I'm the biggest of them all, so that means I'm the best. Heavyweight champion can beat every other weight in the world. I'm the best fighter on the planet. In all weights. I've done it a million times. Pound for pound is like saying, if I had wings and I could fly, could I fly faster than an eagle? Just to say if everybody was the same size, I don't buy into it. And something that I'm not really interested in, to be honest, because everyone has a different opinion on who's what these days, and it's really unimportant. The only thing I care about is breaking faces in and getting the big fights. If the challenge is not there to fight, I keep fighting, and if not, then we see what else is available to do. Who knows, I might take off in a singing rapping career.
Well, you're absolutely right from the heavyweight champion's point of view, especially. Like, we talk about pound for pound in other weight divisions because the best can't compete with the heavyweight champ. The heavyweight champ would beat everyone. You wouldn't have a sport with multiple weight classes. You have to make weight classes or we'd never know about Canelo Alvarez or these guys because obviously they can't compete at heavyweight. I think that's a legitimate point. I only ask because your size is obviously an advantage, but you move like a lightweight. You have like great defense and the kind of defensive instincts that guys like Muhammad Ali or Wilfred Benitez had, where you seem to know where the punches are coming from. But you also, against Wilder, said you were going to change the way you fought. A lot of guys say that. Almost no one ever does it. They go back to what they do. But you actually did it and knocked him out. And now you're talking very cocky, not just about outboxing guys, but about knocking out Anthony Joshua, knocking out Ngannou if he wants it, Wilder again. Does this mean you have now changed the way you fight in a permanent way?
Styles make fights. You know, you do a certain style to adjust to certain fighters. And the great fighters of yesteryear, they all could adapt to most situations. So, you know, there's the old saying, you don't box a boxer, you don't fight a fighter. With Joshua, it's pretty simple. You just got to hit him in the face a few times and he'll fall over. He hasn't got the biggest heart in the world. He hasn't got the most resilience in the world. And, you know, he's not the hardest person in the world to hit. So at 275 pounds and 6'9", like you said, with the speed of a lightweight, it's not going to be too hard for me to land on him. And when I land on him, it's going to be over quite quickly. So when this fight does happen, if it happens, because I'm still very skeptical that it might not happen, then we're going to see a quick early night for the Gypsy King.
Why do you think it might not happen, Tyson?
Because all these fights are never on until you're actually in the ring facing your opponent in the other corner. Then I know it's on. Until that moment, I could be fighting anybody out there. You never know what's going to happen in boxing. You just don't know.
Now, you know, I hear what you're saying about, like, look, if he's ready to fight, then we fight, or then I move on. Maybe I have to do something else. It reminds me a little bit of talking to Terrence Crawford about, hey, do you want to fight Errol Spence? And he's like, it's out of my control. I'll be on to the next guy. But I'm asking you personally, not just as a professional or as an athlete, because there's that thought about Anthony Joshua out there, that to be undisputed, you have to beat him, because you've never faced him. Is it important to you personally to beat him?
You know, it was important to me a year ago or so when he was unbeaten, but I seen him get knocked out before, so it sort of takes the cherry off the cake. And people, before the fight, the loss against Ruiz, people thought that he had a chance against me. Now it's just like, if you look at all these boxing forums and all the votes and stuff, it's like 90% in my favour. And, you know, I really love challenges. And when people don't think I can win fights, that's when I rise to the challenge. So with Anthony Joshua, listen, he's a British guy. He's got a few belts, so we'll make the fight happen. And I'll show you what a real man does to a fake one. In the AJ fight. So listen, I'm very excited about the fight and I can't wait for it to happen if it does. But if not, like I said to Eddie, like I said to Bob, like I said to everybody, I ain't going to just wait around for a certain person and put my career on hold for some guy who doesn't want to fight. You know, I'm ready to fight today. Look at me, I'm in great shape. I'm training all the time. I have been ready since I beat Wilder back in 2020, February. I've been ready for all the scheduled dates that they put to me. All of them fell through for whatever reasons. And I've been ready the whole time. Just I've not had a fight. And how long can this go on for? If the fight happens in June or July, then that'd have been me out the ring nearly 18 months. Did he expect me to go out the ring again for 3 years and come back and kick someone's ass? I don't know. I'm light years ahead of these guys, so the timing doesn't really mean that much. But, you know, I want to keep active. I'm nearly 33. How long do I have left as a heavyweight champion? If I really want to push the boat out, then I've got 5 years left. Who knows, you know? I want to keep active. I want to go down as the greatest boxer of my era, which I'm already there, just one fight away from that. There we are. That's what I got to say about it all.
You know, for all your boasting, especially early in your career, you've obviously done every single thing you said that you were going to do. These are not outrageous claims you're making now. But it doesn't escape my attention that you talk about rising to the occasion against your best opponents. So doesn't that mean that you need to be properly motivated by the right kind of challenge? Look, I also pick you against everyone. You're 6'9", 270, and you have great defensive instincts, and you can change the way you fight, and all of that. You have a big heart, all of that stuff is true. But if you know that, and guys like me are saying it, and you're getting acknowledged that way, if it's not an Anthony Joshua fight, if it's some second-tier fighter, isn't that dangerous for you? Because you won't be properly motivated?
You know, motivation is a big key. And like you say, against the lesser fighters, you'd get less motivated. But we're here, I'm a professional, you know. I'm here training, so whoever I'm fighting, I got to motivate and make myself dedicated for that person. Because at this level, they all are dangerous fights. And one slip up and it can all be over for you. So no matter who the fight is next, I'm going to be motivated and fit and ready for the challenge. And I hope it's the most dangerous. Whoever the best and the most dangerous opponent is out there, then I'll take that guy. I've never been one to cherry pick opponents or avoid certain people. Whoever the toughest challenge is out there, send him my way.
This may not be the toughest challenge in a boxing ring, but you've already mentioned him and you tweeted to Mike Tyson, who you were named after. After I smash Anthony Joshua, I'll roast that guy also, Francis Ngannou. Easy work. He's a great striker for an MMA fighter, but now he's talking about he wants to box you. He tweeted out, if this guy did this to you, what do you think I would do? You know, you have a bad cut there. So Ngannou is not considered a top boxer, even if he's the UFC heavyweight champ. Can you get properly motivated? Is he a tough challenge for you? Is he among the toughest in a boxing ring? And can you get properly motivated to fight him in a boxing ring?
Love to fight Ngannou. I love all this fact of all these celebrity boxers coming into boxing and UFC fighters and stuff and wrestlers and all that want to come into this game. So, you know, whoever these guys, whoever they put in front of me, then that's the ones I'm going to fight. And, you know, Ngannou's a massive guy, big muscles, and he looks the part, and he's got a big name. He's just beat Stipe in a fight. So he's talking about boxing, but this is a different world, you know. I'll eat him up and spit him out 7 times a day. It's just like, you know, if I go into MMA and he starts grabbing me and ripping me to the floor and wrestling me up, and it's not going to be an even match. So it'll be like 10 times harder for him to come into boxing than me going into MMA. It's a different world.
Of course. I mean, you know, when people ask the question, it's a pretty simple answer. In an octagon, I'll take Ngannou, easy. In a boxing ring, I'll take Tyson Fury, easy. I'll take Michael Jordan against any football player on a basketball court, right? And vice versa. This ain't that hard. But meantime, it does seem like you could have a massive fight against AJ, a massive promotional event against Ngannou. But there's another name, before I let you go, Tyson, that's out there. And there are a bunch of young guns always coming up. Deontay Wilder. Yeah. Do you feel that there's any unfinished business with Deontay Wilder? Are you interested in a third fight?
On Deontay Wilder, I can only say one thing. Firstly, big dosser. And secondly, no comment to anything to do with Wilder.
Tyson, before I let you go, I lied a little bit. I got one last for you. Your gut is telling you yes or no for AJ next.
I hope so. I'm hoping and praying it's going to be AJ, but I'm not going to wait around forever. I need to be active. I need to keep busy. And it's up to Top Rank to make that happen. You know, they're my promotional team, and I'm sure they're going to keep me busy this year. I need 2 fights this year, regardless whoever it's going to be. Let's make it happen.
Can't wait to see you back in the ring. Welcome back to Max on Boxing. Let's get to the headlines. Jaron Boots Ennis, spectacular in becoming the first to stop Sergey Lipinets. Fight ended in the 6th round. Boots was one of the best prospects in boxing, now has to be considered one of the most talented contenders in the very deep welterweight division. Lipinets' only loss coming into the fight was to Mikey Garcia, and that was on points. Boots beat him up and knocked him out. Now, was it a perfect performance? Boots can play defense, offense, has power from both sides, goes to the head and body, and is very comfortable in the pocket. Has boxing ability, but throws his punches with bad intentions. But because he's so comfortable in the pocket, like old school Philly skills, he likes to what's called look-off punches in there a lot of the time, meaning he turns his head as the punch comes and takes the sting off the punch. As a result, when he gets a little too comfortable, he can be caught cleanly upstairs. He was by Lipinets upstairs with single shots several times throughout the fights, but it's really nitpicking. It was a dominant performance by a spectacularly talented welterweight contender. It looks like it won't be long until he is a champion. Next headline, Joe Smith Jr. wins a belt in a fight against Maxim Vlasov. It was a close, exciting fight. Joe won a unanimous decision. That fight could have gone either way. Joe Smith started out well and seemed to be winning the early rounds with power shots, with physical strength. Right around the 7th round, I thought he hurt Vlasov to the body with both hands. And I thought at that point he needed to stay to the body over the next several rounds. He had a chance to score a stoppage. Instead, Joe completely ignored the body. And starting in the 8th round, Vlasov totally took over the fight. Not just winning, but beating Joe Smith up. If not for a hustling 12th round, where Joe Smith showed a lot of championship mettle. It's not like he outskilled Vlasov or even that his punches were hurting Vlasov upstairs. Vlasov took Smith's power punches upstairs very well. But on sheer determination and will, Smith carried the 12th round with activity, and that was the difference in the fight. He now has a belt. Congratulations, Joe Smith Jr. By the way, and Maxim Vlasov. That was a tremendous fight. Next headline, F.A. Ajagba with the one-hitter quitter. Knocked out Brian Howard in the 3rd round. I don't even want to say anything. Just watch this. Watch this. How often have you seen this? Spun him around. Who is that? Is that Ajagba or Clubber Lang? That you do not see middle of the ring one-hitter quitters upstairs like that too often. In fact, can you think of a shot quite like it that you haven't seen in a movie ever? Look at that. Did a 180 unconscious. Ajagba, one of the young guns in the heavyweight division. There are several, 4 or 5 young rising heavyweights who are coming along, some of them rawer than others. Ajagba can be basic at times, but with that punching power is a heavyweight to watch for sure. And that'll do it for headlines. Next, it's your turn to ask me the questions. Max, fight you called nicely for HBO. Well, thank you very much. Is that your favorite old man turns back the clock for one night performance? If not, what is? It's one of them. I would say, I don't know if this qualifies because he also fought pretty well after this, but Larry Holmes against Ray Mercer, I think, is my favorite old man turns back the clock for one night-ish kind of fight. Ray Mercer, don't forget, was coming out off of one of the most devastating knockouts ever of Tommy Morrison, right? That clip is still played. It's been used in movies and stuff. It was so brutal. He was an undefeated Olympic heavyweight gold medalist and was headed for at least a title shot, if not for a title. Larry Holmes had already been knocked out by Tyson, had been off for years, comes back and corner dopes Ray Mercer. Remember the old TNT fight series? At one point, he's in the corner jabbing at Ray Mercer, turns to the camera, looks in the camera at the audience, says, "I'm not Tommy Morrison," and then whap, whap, hits Mercer. That's probably my favorite one. The OG Pop asks, what do you think of all these older boxers coming out of retirement for exhibition fights? Is it a dig at current fighters not making the fights that matter? Hashtag MaxMeAnything. Well, maybe. I think it's also partly because boxing is further marginalized constantly. And so the more famous fighters who were from a less marginalized era, who's been in the public consciousness for decades, you know, people are familiar with their stories. They're more invested in them. They can make big events. I think partly it's just the proliferation of media and social media. You see social media personalities who've never been professional boxers making big events because they're willing to get in the ring. I think, and I also think it's kind of a seniors tour like they have in tennis or golf, you know, like they just have old people fighting each other. And, you know, I know boxing is dangerous and more dangerous the older you get. I don't object. If it's old fighters fighting old fighters, I don't object. This from AD. What's the meaning of life? 42. 42 is the meaning of life. You have to read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy to understand why, but the answer is 42. Joe asks, the most underrated, unnoticed boxer at the moment who's gotten no hype, but all the ability, hashtag Max Me Anything. I would say, does it still qualify? Jaron Ennis? Talked about him on this show last several weeks, and he had a coming out party against Sergey Lipinets, but he has not been as celebrated as some others, and he is as talented as anyone. Mark wants to know, Max, who's the next breakout pay-per-view star in your opinion? Teofimo Lopez? Tank Davis? It has to be exciting style, blue chip talent, willing to fight top fighters in big events, and they have to have mic skills, as they call it nowadays. Teofimo and Tank both fit the bill. Time is up. That'll do it for Max Me Anything. Tweet me your questions to @MaxKellerman, and maybe your question will be answered on the show. A little more Max on Boxing after the break.